GamerGobble.
Hello and welcome to another episode of GamerGobble. I am your host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Tim.
Before we get started, I just wanted to note that Tim has horrible sunburn and it's hilarious.
It was a painful night at the day at the raceway.
Yeah, he was at the
Keystone Raceway.
out towards Pittsburgh, where he was doing something, helping someone with something.
Yeah, the guy he does the video stuff there, and he's like, "Yeah, I want a drone video." I'm like, "I'm a film student, and my teacher is a drone, so I guess I'll do that." And I did, and I just forgot to put the sunscreen on, and now my entire body.
And I guess he didn't know what aloe was, so we couldn't put any of that on.
Yeah,
it's a helpful thing with sunburn, let me tell you. But aside from that, we don't have the most to talk about this week, but honestly, we have more than I thought. So let's get things started with This Week in Gaming.
This week in gaming.
Few things this week in gaming. A major set of Steam updates were announced at a developer conference of some kind, altering the UI a bit, making it supposedly more user-friendly, which, to be fair, Steam is a little annoying. It's not bad to navigate, but it certainly is dated, as well as altering the recommended titles feature, making it more obnoxious.
when they did that, I was
I
like,
hate the recommended titles thing on Steam. It's found me some cool games, don't get me wrong, but it makes it hard to search because it changes the search results to fit what they think. If you search for something directly, if you search Castlevania, Castlevania's gonna pop up. If you search PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that's gonna pop up. You know, if you type in Mario, you'll get random things, I guess. I don't know. The search feature doesn't get altered, but the front page does, and that kind of disappoints me because it's not something I like. It's good to have recommended games, but that's the only thing they show you.
I was okay with just the top being kind of recommended, and then the bottom would be everything else. But then they just kept adding on and on and on. It's like, okay, I get it. You think I'll like these games, and I'm not sure if you witnessed this because when I did it, I just randomly decided I'm gonna follow a random person that I made a funny review, and then all my recommended games were from that person.
Ooh.
Who it was all the games he did funny reviews on. I'm like, oh. I guess Steam thinks that since I followed this guy because I thought he was funny, it means I want to play all the games he's talking about.
What annoys me is that if I go on Steam because I want to find something random, and I'm just like, I need something new, something fresh, I want to just play something that is completely out of left field, and I'm going to find it at random, and it's going to be $10, and it's going to be great, it won't show up. I won't find a random $10 game, because all it's going to show me is, due to your recent history on platformers, here are platformers. And I'm like, my favorite genre, but not what I'm looking for.
Don't forget
due
Jerry's
to your
mod.
recent playtime in Batman games, here are some other Batman games. It's like, why is that a genre?
That is. It's a genre on Steam.
It's infuriating. So maybe they'll make it better, but I don't know. Splatoon 2 had another demo go live. I didn't know until after, so I didn't play it. But it was a Splatfest demo. Tim, are you familiar with the Splatfests?
No, I just know squid people.
So the Splatfest is something they do. It's based around their online multiplayer, which is, of course, the main feature of Splatoon and Splatoon 2. In it, it's a competition between two different things. You pick a side, and you fight for that side. And when you play, I think if you win, it counts as votes, but it might just be if you play. I'm not sure. I only participated in one. Splatoon 1's last Splatfest, I think, was Callie versus Mary.
Okay.
The two main squid people, which actually dictated the plot of Splatoon 2.
Are they the news ones? Yeah, I know that.
They actually have new ones in the second one. Because they two from the first one became much more... They were important to the plot in the first one, I guess, but they became like the central points of the campaign based on the results of the first game, which is kind of neat. But you pick two sides, cats versus dogs, pizza versus hot dogs. I don't think pizza was against something. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, but that's the actual things?
Yeah, the cats versus dogs was one. And the one they had was cupcakes versus ice cream. Can you guess which one won?
Ice cream.
By a mile.
I'd
by
take ice
so
cream
much
over that any other day.
I can't eat ice cream. It makes me vomit. So I would pick cupcakes personally, but I guess that's a little bit of a different thing. I do love frozen desserts. Just ice cream specifically, can't eat it. But yeah, kind of an interesting thing that happened. I love how Nintendo's been handling demos. Their online demos. It's been pretty great because you don't have to pay for them.
That's good.
With a lot of games, they'll have an online beta, but not always free. Or you
Some
have to
games.
pre-order the game to do it. That's where it annoys me, whenever it's a part of a pre-order package, which is most of the time.
Well, the whole point of a demo is to try the game before you buy
Exactly.
it.
So, like, Battlefront 1 did it well. They had a free beta.
Yeah.
And I hope they do that with the second one, too.
That'd be nice.
But I like how Nintendo handles it. And I like how a couple companies do that. It's cool. Especially with online multiplayer games. New game we just discovered that seems pretty neat. Icons Combat Arena. So this is a PC exclusive fighter developed by the guys over at Wave Dash, best known as the modding team behind the Brawl overhaul Project M. Project M was fantastic. It took all of Brawl and turned it into Melee, which, you know, I prefer Smash 4 and 64 over Brawl and Melee anyway, but I do think it was an incredible achievement for what it was. Tim isn't the biggest fan of Melee.
I'm not the biggest fan. No, I started out with Brawl, which is the worst one, apparently.
It's not the worst one, but it's certainly the slowest.
And then
Melee
4 took a bit of getting used to, but then
Melee
I
is
liked it.
annoying to play now because of the fact that if you get into it, it's impossible to actually go anywhere because everyone's going to be super into it, and you can't beat years of muscle memory.
Yeah.
And it's so technical. I can wave dash, but I can't wave dash into an aerial, then L cancel, and then into another wave dash, and then grab out of shield or whatever. It's, you know...
See, I've been playing with these guys saying these things for years now, and I still don't know what that means. Half the time.
They're all just terms. I was just randomly throwing them around. I mean, I know what they are.
You listed a thing in the order that you would execute it, right? That wasn't just babble.
No, I mean, they're a thing you could do as a combo. It wouldn't achieve anything, but it's technically a thing you could do as a combo. There were some things I liked, like dash dancing, which they got rid of. That's where you just rapidly tap left and right.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing I know.
I like dash dancing a lot. I was pretty bummed when they botched it in Smash 4. Otherwise, Smash 4 is my favorite Smash Brothers. Definitively, it's great. And I love Smash 64 out of nostalgia, but just mechanically, I think it's just such a fun game. Even if it's totally broken.
I only liked
it's
the
super
trailer
fun.
for 64.
I thought you liked Smash 64. Like, you had fun with
It's
it.
okay, but I don't like the old ones as much. I did grow up with them like you did, so I don't know. I can't.
Well, I managed to be lucky enough to play the games in order. I didn't have an N64 as a kid, but I played my cousins a lot. So I played Smash 64 a ton, then got Melee, probably a year or so after it came out, got Brawl day one, got both versions of Smash 4 day one. We'll get whatever they released on the Switch day one. I love Smash Brothers. It's not something I'm obsessed over. And out of my friends, I play it the least, actually. Tim plays it more than I do.
I do?
Yep. I literally only play Smash Brothers whenever I'm playing it with friends.
Same. I guess it's because I had my friend Blake over a lot more than
He doesn't live around here anymore. Shout out to Blake if you're watching, which you should be.
Yeah, you better be.
Where are you? Why aren't you listening? We're talking about Melee in here. Whatever.
We're talking about a mod, a completely free to play.
And this is interesting.
You didn't mention that part yet.
It's a free to play fighter by Wave Dash. Very, very clearly based on Melee's gameplay. There was wave dashing, LOL. There was
the Fox clone.
Oh, the characters were so clearly like they're at least. I mean, I'm sure their specials will be a little different, but at the very least, like the smash attack seem present. Everything looks like it's going to be very. Sort of like how Rivals of Aether is just Melee, but with different characters and different art style.
Except this isn't like
this
pixelated.
This looks like Overwatch. Like a worse version of Overwatch
2D
graphically.
fighting.
But it looks interesting. I'll check it out because it's free.
Yeah.
And my favorite story of the week, just because I just discovered it, we finally saw the design for the Atari box. Tim probably has it on screen right now, I'm sure.
Probably.
And there are two different designs. There is a wood grain.
3, I think.
No, 2.
Was it the black one also with the red one?
I thought it was just black.
Well, they showed in the trailer.
We'll know,
it was red and then black.
We'll know whatever's on screen.
Okay.
But at the very least, there's 2. There's the red one and the wood grain one. I love it.
The wood grain one's
Oh, the red one's ugly.
The red one, yeah.
But the wood grain one looks so cool. It's so 2600, and I love the Atari 2600. I don't know if I've made that clear.
Taking it up to the moderniness of these consoles, but not as slick. They made it like
I'll be honest.
Kind of.
I have no opinion on the Atari box. We barely know what it is.
Just think it looks cool.
They stated it'll play classic games and that it'll play modern games. I'm taking that to mean it'll be an emulation machine, and that it will have Android titles, but I don't know.
Because modern games, it's not gonna be playing no Call of Duty on that.
If it ends up being a thing that can compete in the Switch's price range and like technical prowess, that would be kind of cool. Thing is, the Switch exists in the same price range as the PS4 and Xbox One, and if it's going to compete with the Switch, it would have to be really way cheaper because the Switch lives off its gimmick. It's part portable, part console.
Yeah.
I don't see what space that Atari is trying to occupy here. Regardless, it's cool. I'm more and more interested as time goes on.
Maybe it's gonna be like that whole emulation console thing.
If it ends up just being
it's like the leading edge of
my
all that.
current guess is a powerful, like an emulation console, like a powerful Android TV box. And if that's what it is, that's useful. It's something I can run Netflix and Hulu through. If it's cheap
I
enough.
like how that's the thing you use it for the most.
Well, I mean, I'll play games on it, but
Atari box for Netflix.
if I'm gonna run games, classic games in HD, I have a Retron. I can emulate. I don't like emulating, but I have a Retron. I have the Wii U with its virtual console. The Switch is gonna get the virtual console. I have access to classic games in HD already. It needs to do something spectacular to stand out, but
Don't you
regardless,
need the
it's
original game
cool.
for the Retron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even if it's emulated, you have the game on it. It's not like
Well, the Retron does emulate that.
Yeah.
It annoys me in that regard. But, I mean, I have a Retron 5, which, no, it's not perfect. It's far from the perfect solution to playing classic games in HD. But you know what? It works. And I don't see what kind of space the thing's trying to occupy. We'll find out as more details surface. Maybe they're trying to be Switch level, which would be cool if it got, like,
Got a fourth
some
player.
ports. And it'd be interesting, but I feel like it would go about as well as a Jaguar. But hey, we'll find out. In any case, it's time for Game of the Week. You ready?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Game of the Week.
This week's Game of the Week is a little bit different because I'm going to be talking lore to Tim.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a video over on my channel about a Castlevania game. It's a review of one. I'll probably end up selfishly linking in the description once I upload it. I won't bother mentioning what game it is until then. Actually, yes, I will. It's Dracula X. Anyway,
Okay.
Castlevania's lore is a mess, and I love it.
All I know about Castlevania is vampires and whips.
So the Castlevania series has always sort of been in that second tier of major mascots. It's major. It's huge. It's not Mario and Sonic, though. You know? It's more in line with, say, Mega Man.
Okay.
Maybe a little below Mega Man in terms of fame, but in that same sort of bracket, where it's a major third-party thing, but not the most major. Everyone knows about it, but not that many people know a lot about it. So, let's start by explaining how Castlevania's lore continuity breaks down in game release order. I'm probably going to miss a few games because I'm not the biggest Castlevania fan, but I'll get the major ones at the very least. The first Castlevania game, of course, was Castlevania on the NES. There were a couple PC ports. They were garbage. It's an NES game. In it, you play as a guy named Simon Belmont. You're in the, I think, 1700s.
Okay.
You're running around with a whip. You kill Dracula. It's a great game. It's really hard. I like it. Then they did an MSX version that was different. The MSX was a Japanese computer. It is famous, probably most well known, for having the first two Metal Gear games.
Ooh.
The NES had also their own first two Metal Gear games, which included Metal Gear 1, which was a bad port of the MSX game, and two totally different Metal Gear 2s. They have nothing to do with each other. But that's what it's known for. But it also had other games, including this Castlevania game called Vampire Killer. In terms of continuity, it occupies the same spot. There's also Haunted Castle, which is an arcade game, which to my knowledge is completely non-canon, but also occupies the same spot in the timeline. Oh, we're not done. Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo occupies the same place in the timeline. Interesting. Few years after Castlevania 1, in terms of continuity, comes Castlevania 2, the next main game released. Castlevania 2 was garbage, as made famous by everyone's dearly beloved angry video game nerd, who we will, I think Tim and I can just agree, is internet perfection. We both adore James Rolfe's work. Are you saying you don't adore the work of James Rolfe?
No, I do. I do.
He's so the inspiration for the entire modern gaming culture, and I think he put it best with his reviews, multiple reviews of Castlevania 2. It's pretty bad. But then came Castlevania 3. Castlevania 3 is a prequel. It takes place 200, 300, 400 years or something. I think like 200 years before.
Quite a few.
It's like 100 years or 200 years before Castlevania 1.
Okay.
You play as Trevor Belmont. And you kill Dracula, but he comes back in Castlevania 1.
Okay.
Oh, and for the record, at the end of Castlevania 1, he put a curse on Simon, and the second game is about lifting the curse by bringing Dracula back to life and killing him again.
Oh, okay, sure.
So, it's pretty normal,
Yeah.
Um,
Bring the Lord of Vampires back to life to kill him again. And fix your curse.
Yep. But if you do it, and you take too long to do it, like you take too long in the game, you either don't lift the curse and you die, but you still kill Dracula, so it's okay.
Okay.
You lift the curse, but you die anyway.
Oh, okay. It's like, dang it. Well, then.
Or you lift the curse, Simon lives, but then Dracula's not really dead. And that's the best ending.
That's the best ending?
Unfortunately. The actual best ending, in my opinion, is the worst ending where they both die. But because, it's a triumphant ending and like a sacrifice, blah, blah, blah. But whatever. Castlevania 3 happens. Castlevania 4, as I said, which is a great game, famously good game, with one of my favorite soundtracks on the Super Nintendo, is a remake of Castlevania 1 in terms of its story. Not its levels or anything, but its story is the same place in the timeline. Then there's Castlevania The Adventure for the Game Boy. This takes place before Castlevania 3. It's a prequel to Castlevania 3. So this goes back another couple hundred years.
Oh, good.
But it's still all medieval Europe. It's always the same medieval Europe.
Even though it's hundreds of years apart. Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
then Castlevania The Adventure had a sequel. Castlevania The Adventure 2, Belmont's Revenge. You play in these games as Christopher Belmont, who in Japan was originally the same as Trevor Belmont, but now they're separate.
Okay, then.
Trevor Belmont is Ralph Belmont. Castlevania 3, for the record, being the game that was adapted into the anime. Just putting it out there. So that happened. But then there was Castlevania Legends on the Game Boy, but that's non-canon because it was dumb. But it was a really good game, but it's not canon.
Okay.
So then after Castlevania 4 on consoles, we had Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Now, this was a Japanese exclusive for the PC Engine CD, released over here as the TurboGrafx 16 with its CD add-on. We didn't get this game over here until like 2006 or 2007. But it exists in Japan. It is later. It's in the 1800s. There are guns in it. Like some of the enemies have guns.
Okay.
Like muskets. And it's probably the best Castlevania game. Just putting it out there. It's phenomenal. It's a great game. It's one that I want to eventually do on GamerGobble as a Let's Play. It's just so friggin' hard that it would be really tough to do. But it's a really, really good game. Also one of the easiest in the series, but it's Castlevania, so it's still nearly impossible. In that game, you play as Richter Belmont, and you have to save girls from Dracula by going through the stages. There's alternate stages. It's a linear progression, but how you progress can be altered by the route you take in levels. And if you take the correct path, you'll save all 4 girls. The first girl you save, Maria, you can play as, and she's super OP, and she can shoot birds out of her head.
Oh, okay.
Now, Rondo of Blood, or as it would be known in Japan, Devil's Castle Dracula X Rondo of Blood, had a Super Nintendo pseudo-remake, not sequel, but pseudo-remake, but totally different game, called Castlevania Dracula X, which is what I'm reviewing. Super rare game. It's like $150.
And how much you pay for it?
$8 download.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you, Nintendo Wii U. So this game occupies the same place in the timeline, except you can't play as Maria, and it's balls hard. And in Japan, it was known as, I think, what was it? Devil's Castle Dracula XX.
Don't do one more.
That's it.
That'd be bad.
But it's a ridiculous name. So then, Rondo of Blood / Dracula X, both good games, got a sequel called Symphony of the Night. But before that, there was Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis. Now, this game in the timeline exists after the novel Dracula.
Oh!
So the Dracula novel is now canon. Yeah.
Good.
Why is it canon? Who knows?
Because Dracula's the most popular vampire?
Yeah, but Dracula as he exists in the novel does not fit the Castlevania lore. In the novel, he does not turn into a giant blue man in a red Speedo shooting lasers.
Hey, I disagree.
That happens in Dracula X. It happens.
Interpretation.
In one game, he turns into a dragon.
Dragon vampire is the same thing.
In several games, he just turns into the Cookie Monster with horns.
Well,
and
is that
jumps
what
on
vampires are at heart?
you. He's the Grim Reaper in Castlevania 2.
Well, they are pretty evil, I'd say. They are vampires, right?
And in a lot of games, he's just he's a giant head. In some of the really obscure ones, he's a giant head.
Well, he has big brains. I don't know.
I guess.
I'm only half following what's going on here.
You're just so confused.
I'm confused. I'm dying of heat stroke.
Yeah, it's really hot in here.
So much going on here, and now you're talking about Dracula heads, Cookie Monsters.
Dracula is canon. The novel Dracula by Bram Stoker, which is a fantastic book for what it's worth, obviously, spawning the character. Also, Dracula in continuity is also Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, but he's also a guy named Matthias.
Okay.
But he's also Dracula from the book, who is not Vlad Tepes, just based on him. So Dracula is like 3 people.
Good.
But then we got Castlevania 64, which is a pile of shit. But in it, he's a little boy. Okay, he's a little boy. He's a little boy, but he pretends to be an old man. There's an old man who's pretending to be Dracula, but Dracula's a little boy.
What's he look like?
The little boy?
Yeah, is he
He looks like a little emo kid.
But he pretends to be an old man?
No, an old man pretends to be Dracula, but it turns out he's fake Dracula. He's not really Dracula.
Is he
little
an actual
boy
vampire,
is Dracula.
though?
Yeah.
Okay, so
The fake guy is actually a vampire. Little boy Dracula turns into Dracula, and he turns into an old man. It's like, I've deceived you, and then you kill him.
Oh, okay.
Bad game.
Good. That's good.
So that's in like the 1860s. So it's pretty late. That's
How
like,
many games are we at here?
I don't know, like 57. It feels like I'm almost done.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
So then we have Symphony of the Night, which is a PlayStation game that is the sequel to Rondo of Blood. Probably the most famous of the Castlevania games. He plays Dracula's son Alucard, who first appeared in 3. Great game, very much like Metroid. Speaks for itself. Look it up. Has one of the best soundtracks of all time. Beautifully animated. It's phenomenal. Not my cup of tea, but I still love it. That game spawned a bunch of others that I'm not even going to go into on the Game Boy, except for I'll go into like the last ones because they're really weird.
Okay.
That's with the moon and stuff.
Okay, good.
You're waiting for that part.
Yeah, all I was told was something about a moon fortress during the eclipse or something.
Moon
I don't know.
Castle.
Moon Castle during the eclipse.
Yeah. So, anyway, Castlevania is a creature of chaos, as Alucard says. That game, I don't know when it takes place. Well, it takes place a couple years after Rondo of Blood.
Castlevania is a creature?
Of chaos.
Is it?
No, it's an evil castle, but it's like demonic.
So the castle is alive.
Kind of, but not really.
Dracula's not the main bad guy.
No, he is. It's part of Dracula's magic.
Magic?
It's tied to his magic.
Okay.
The castle is like an embodiment of it, I guess.
Oh, good.
It's weird. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of Game Boy games and stuff that are ambiguously canon that I don't really know about. A couple PS2 games that I don't know about. Like, I think Lament of Innocence, is it? That's actually canon via being a direct sequel to Dracula's Curse, which is the 3rd game, but I have no idea why, and it makes no sense. Oh, and then there's the one PS2 game where they explain how Dracula was really a guy named Matthias, and he was also Vlad Tepes, and he was also this one Hungarian serial killer.
Well, you know,
everyone is Dracula.
He's a vampire can do lots of things.
Yeah,
so.
apparently so. In any case, after that, Dracula, being the beautiful guy that he is, he dies.
Oh man, it only took him 15 million years.
So
And 23,000
he gets reincarnated into a kid named...
Or he gets reincarnated. They could just let it end there.
Into a kid named Soma.
I know a game called Soma.
Now, Soma is just a kid, emo. It's like, I will be good. I will defy these demonic powers. He beats a cult. He goes to Castlevania. He denies his Dracula powers or whatever. That's it. That's the game. It's in like 2020 or something really, or something 2030 or something ridiculous like that. So now we're in the future.
Good.
Jump to 2035 in Tokyo.
Well,
There's a solar eclipse.
As all things go.
And Dracula's castle appears on Earth.
On Earth.
Another cult
Wait,
appears.
his castle just appears.
Yes.
Okay.
Another cult shows up.
Okay.
And says, we will make you go be Dracula by killing you.
Oh.
So then they kill everyone. And then the castle appears on the moon.
On the moon.
And then
not
they
Earth.
kill something, beat the final boss, and then the castle's gone, and they're back on Earth, and that's Castlevania. Except then they rebooted.
Oh, good.
with Castlevania Lords of Shadow, which is much more straightforward. It's only 3 games, and it's already done as a series because the games go good, bad. But basically, Lords of Shadow, which is a great action God of War clone, really, really solid. Tim, you'd love it. You really would. It's the only Castlevania game I think you'd like.
Okay.
But
yeah, I don't know.
it is a 3D game, and in it, Gabriel Belmont is a monster hunter guy. Something to do with a church or something. He has a combat cross, which is just a whip.
Okay, sure.
He goes through the game. He fights Satan.
Oh, he fights Satan.
Yeah.
Actually, okay.
And then, because of Patrick Stewart, Professor Xavier, I don't remember his character's name.
Okay.
But then Professor X helps him, but he's evil, so they kill him. And then he fights Satan, and then he turns into Dracula.
Wait, who does? Satan? Or
No, Gabriel Belmont.
He turns into
Dracula.
Oh.
Leading to the second game, Mirrors of Fate, where his secret son that apparently happened, Trevor.
Oh.
Like Trevor Belmont from the old games.
Okay, yeah.
He goes, and then he becomes Alucard, the son of Dracula. Goes in a coffin. His son, Simon Belmont, comes out.
Okay, so 3 generations into this, okay.
So his son, Simon Belmont, comes out. And then he teams up with Alucard.
Wait, comes out where?
Like, just appears. He just shows up.
He
He's like,
appears.
oh,
Okay.
got you. And then he shows up, and he goes through Castlevania, and he beats Dracula, except he doesn't.
Does he also beat
And Dracula's like, whatever, and he goes into seclusion again, and that's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But then there's the third game, which takes place in modern time New York,
Oh.
where Castlevania spawns.
Oh, good.
But it's cool, because no one notices.
Okay, sure.
And so then you have to go around and pretend to be a rat,
What?
and then you eventually kill Satan again.
You pretend to, wait,
You turn into a... Well, you don't pretend, you literally turn into a mouse, and you have to stealth around as a mouse.
and then you
But if a security guard sees you, they just step on you because they're like, ew, gross, a mouse.
yeah, because that's what security guards in New York do. Like, ew,
Yeah,
mouse, and
they
step
totally even notice rodents in New York. Like, it's not everyday life or anything. Every
Yeah.
city I've been in, I've seen rats.
And they're not just gonna like tell the shoe or cat. No, they're just gonna squish it with their boots
Yeah,
right
they
then
just
there.
disgustingly cover their boots in rat blood. So that's the Castlevania timeline.
Great.
Did you like it? How much of it did you understand?
I understood the part about Dracula coming back again and again, and there's a castle that has his magic, a Satan, and a man with a whip with
and
3 of him.
One more game. Castlevania Judgment.
Oh.
Where someone somehow pulls all the different timeline stuff together. Everyone fights. And Maria, who is a strong female character, is self-conscious about her B cup and brags about how great everyone else's boobs are while screaming, Baba Babaka.
Is that real?
Well, the Baka part isn't, but the part about her screaming out people's boobs are better than hers, yeah. As she
Okay.
says about Sypho Belnades, who is a phenomenal female character. Those are 2 blessings from God.
Okay.
I didn't like that game.
When did this one come out? Is this
It's like 2007. It was a fighting game for the Wii.
Oh, okay.
It was really bad. The soundtrack was a win, but everyone dressed like strippers.
Okay.
It was bad.
That's good. That's nice.
Hype train, go.
Okay, good. Finally. Ooh, jeez.
All aboard the hype train.
This week on Hype Train, where we talk about games that we're looking forward to, or movies or TV shows or whatever. Tim shows this one. It's an upcoming game. Fortnite comes out next week?
Something like that. Yeah.
This week or next week?
Yeah.
I know nothing about it. Go ahead.
Okay, so there weren't many games that we could talk about that I could think of that we know
There were
much about.
plenty we could talk about, but just not a lot we wanted to talk about yet.
Yeah, so Fortnite, from what I know about it, looked up about it, is picture Team Fortress in a pretty, it's not an open world, like there's several maps, I think, or I'm not sure if it's progressing from one map to the next or something, if you choose it, but you spawn a map it's really toony, and you have like your group of characters that you can choose from, and you play with your friends, and the whole gig is something. There's this giant dark storm that's coming, and you have, before it gets to where you are or something, you have to tear down the surrounding area and like trees and collect resources in abandoned buildings and stuff, and build up a small fort to protect your generator thing, kind of like a tower defense, and then after a certain amount of time, or when you activate the shield thingy in the middle, the vortex is let in and zombies start to spawn, and then you have to kill them with a whole group of funny weapons and stuff, and that's the game. And while you do that, you save survivors and build up your fort more. Just you can't let the zombies get to your thing, and you clear an area, and then you move on to the next thing, and they're character upgrades and powers and all this other crazy stuff, and it looks pretty good. So
That is a major amalgamation of different genres.
it is a pretty crazy thing. It looks pretty good. I'll have to show you gameplay of it later, but
I'm sure it's on screen right now for viewers.
I
but-
guess so. Like, I forget if it runs in the Unreal Engine or not. It's picture Team Fortress if it looked even better. The characters they're still toony, but not as exaggerated as they are. I think, if from I recall, some are pretty crazy, and that's the whole thing is like it's just a group of ragtag people, and they save survivors in this really toony world in different areas. Like you could be in the middle of a forest, or you could be like in the middle of a town. You have a generator or something you gotta protect, and you build a fort. You can set traps and stuff, and you just fight off zombies with your character's guns and stuff, and just defend things. And that's about it. It's a combination of like tower defense and crafting and all that other crazy stuff. And it looks to be pretty good actually. So
It seems like an interesting amalgamation of different concepts. Mm-hmm. So tower defense mixed with FPS mixed with zombie hordes.
I'm not sure about the FPS part. I think it's actually third person.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So it's still a shooter though.
Yeah, still a shooter though. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and trap laying is like a thing. Like you don't just you build your fort. You can put down like dart traps, spiked floors. The hordes increase in size and stuff, and it's mostly generic zombies. They're really toony. It's not like bloody and gory. It's like mostly kid friendly, I'd say. And they've thrown like humor and funny quotes here and there, kind of like Team Fortress. I keep relating it to that because that's what it basically is. It's like a more colorful Team Fortress, except you're fighting zombies and building up your base. And like every class has their own specialties. Like one person's better at building, one person's like a heavy weapons, this thing, and one person's better at the sniper. And that's basically all there is to say about it, I think. I mean, I know I said I had a lot to say, but that's the basic
It
concept.
sounds really interesting, actually. I might look into that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to probably look it up when I go home after recording. We're recording so like 1.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be a really good.
It's like 1:30 a.m. as we're recording. We're both so tired.
Hot, tired, and just finished our Let's Play.
Yeah, well, we would have been recording hours ago. We ended up finishing out Paper Mario.
So, yeah, but yeah, that's a nice little thing, and it looks like it'll be fun to play with multiplayer. And there's a whole bunch of early access things you can look up online. Some people are playing it already. So
That sounds cool.
yeah,
I'll have to look it up. Mm-hmm. Well, with that being said, time for whatever.
Ooh.
Whatever. This week on Whatever, where we talk about whatever it is we feel like talking about, gender swapping, why it's okay to do, why it's absolutely a good thing most of the time, but
Key on the boat.
how to keep it from being overdone. I think it's fair to say that Tim and I are both feminists.
Sure.
Especially myself. I don't know. You definitely are. If you're look, if you understand feminism and you're not a feminist, chances are either A, you really don't get it, or B, you're not a very nice person. This is a very non-political show, but that's one thing I'm going to stand strong on. Equality is important. That being said, gender swapping. I give it, most of the time, it works. Now, gender swapping rules in terms of just character roles, we're going to talk about that first rather than actual character gender swapping. But we'll get to both. Because in both cases, I think it works. In movies that you typically expect to be male-led, a female-led protagonist can be just as good, if not better, depending on the situation. Mad Max Fury Road. Have you seen that movie?
I've seen parts of it. I'm not sure if I actually saw the whole thing. That's the newer one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Mad Max is, of course, the titular character.
Yeah, I know.
He is by no means the highlight of the movie. I can't remember her name because it's been so long since I saw the movie. But the female lead stole the show so hardcore by being one of the coolest blockbuster female protagonists of all time.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know much about that. I know the concept of Mad Max. I didn't know the new one had a female lead.
Yeah, in addition
that.
to that. And it is a great movie. I think having a female lead in a traditionally male series can do a lot of really cool things. Or even just in roles you don't expect. Wonder Woman is the first successful blockbuster superhero movie starring a female. We had Supergirl, but have you even heard that there was a Supergirl movie in the 80s?
No.
Don't watch it. Did you ever see the Halle Berry Catwoman movie?
Yeah, actually, I did see that one.
Probably the worst movie ever made.
Not that good.
It's incredibly awful. A, they sexualize her way too much, which is Catwoman. She's a sexualized character. They really overdid it. And B, it had nothing to do with the character. And see, it was just a garbage movie. Not a good example. Supergirl, it's just dreadful. It's so bad.
I never saw that one.
Now, Supergirl has a really good TV show right now, but that doesn't really pertain to this.
Wonder Woman had a TV show too, but right?
Yeah, the Linda Carter show, which is really good as well. The Supergirl show is actually currently going.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
really
one yet
good.
either.
Like, not amazing, but it's solid. Wonder Woman is one of the best superhero movies made in years. I
Okay.
don't think you saw it yet.
No, I haven't seen that one yet. I have
But
quite a
it
few
is
superhero movies that catch up on.
absolutely phenomenal. And why this matters is it gender swapping? No. Wonder Woman's a female character. But it does shift around the lead role. The romance is all on the male instead of all on the female. The female protagonist is incredibly badass. She absolutely steals every scene rather than the other way around. Everything about it is just phenomenal from the perspective of it was a female-led movie by a female director. It's great. I think it was a good example of how that's on a smaller scale. It's not gender swapping, but it is mixing up gender roles in Hollywood.
Didn't you say something about her being underpaid though?
Oh, she was horrifically.
Yeah.
She made like $300,000 on that movie.
So that's not a good
She
thing.
made as much on that movie as she did in her cameo in Batman v Superman.
Yeah,
Disgusting.
So, yeah.
But that aside, she was fantastic. The movie is fantastic. Now, gender swapping characters is a very different issue. I'm gonna throw out the most obvious example. I'm a massive fan of Doctor Who.
Okay.
This week, we got to find out, specifically yesterday, actually, as of recording this, it'll have been a couple days whenever this is uploaded, we found out who the 13th Doctor is going to be, who's actually the 14th, or if you count the Valor, the 15th. But, shh.
I don't know what he's talking about because
There's a couple different
I'm unfortunately
Doctor
not into
Who
the Doctor Who as
incarnations, who's always been played by a white British male.
much. I know that much at least.
Yeah. Now we have a white British female, Jodie Whittaker, will be, I think that's how you pronounce her last name.
I don't know.
Will be taking over the role in this year's Christmas special as the 12th Doctor. Peter Capaldi steps down. I'm incredibly excited. Now, people are very angry about having a female-led Doctor Who.
Okay. Is it not just because the change, how it's been male the whole time, and then suddenly
Well,
it's
the
female?
thing is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is a show that's over 50 years old. Well over 50 years old. It came out originally in 1963.
Wow.
Yes. It's hard to spice up a show that's been out that long. I love Doctor Who. I really do. I think it's gone downhill in recent years, but the main actors have always kept it worth watching, even at its lowest points in recent years. Because it doesn't matter how bad the writing is and how boring some of the stories are, if you have actors like Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi just giving it their all and giving such a memorable performance. The Doctor is a great character to watch no matter what, and I do think it's going to continue to be the case. Miss Whittaker, whatever her name is pronounced as, is a fantastic actress. I saw her in the BBC production Broadchurch, which is a murder mystery show, which is absolutely fantastic, starring, ironically enough, the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. Yeah, it's a great show. Super dark, but she's great in it. She wasn't a lead, but she was a major character, and I'm really excited to see her as a Doctor. Some people online are not.
From what you've told me,
A lot of them aren't. Now, most people are. To be fair, most people agree, hey, it's time to spice up the show. It is established in continuity that Time Lords, the Doctor's alien species, do regenerate, which is how they change actors, into females. Most recently and notably, the Master, a long-standing villain since the 70s. His last incarnation was as a female, who they called Missy, short for the Mistress. The actress Michelle Gomez stepped down at the same time as Capaldi, which is unfortunate, but she was a hit with fans for the most part. There were some who said, oh, this is political correctness, leave the character as is, blah, blah, blah. No, it worked. In continuity, it's always been established that they can change genders, and I assumed once we got Missy that we were going to get a female Doctor. I thought, okay, they're testing the waters. Missy was great. Missy was one of the best things to happen to the show in years. She made some of the worst things worth watching.
okay.
The performance was that strong.
Like I said, no
Well, just explaining.
idea about that. So
Don't worry, we're getting to another example in a second. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I'll go. That's the was.
That's not a good example.
Yeah, that's not
I'll
good.
get
Yeah,
to it.
That's not a good
Yeah.
example.
So there are issues with having gender swapping. on occasion, but only if you do it wrong. In this case, everything's handled very well. I think Doctor Who's going to be a great example of how switching a traditionally male character into a female can work. And before we get to the obvious failed example on what to avoid while doing it, through a few other examples that work. Iron Man is a female in the comics right now.
I didn't know that.
I think now Tony Stark might be Iron Man again, so she might be Ironheart. Either way, teenage girl who is a technical genius who made her own haphazard Iron Man armor and then got contacted by Tony Stark, who was like, "That's awesome."
Okay.
She's a cool character. Thor is a female right now.
Okay.
In the comics, they just call her Thor. She's Thor. She's the god of thunder. She's Thor. It's super cool.
What happened?
Thor is sort of almost as much a character as he is a title. Like, he gets passed around. The identity is the same. The consciousness is the same. The memories are the same. The body is different.
Oh, okay. So
Thor's
like
occupied the same
Thor,
body
like
as other people.
Okay, so he died or something, and
Something happened that she became the new
is he like
Thor.
a reincarnation or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, she's fantastic. You have your characters not really gender swaps, but her female counterparts, like Batgirl, who was really lame for a long time. She has great stories. I love Batgirl. Barbara Gordon's a great character. She's had her bad stories. Spider-Woman, who until recently was pretty lame. Now she's super cool with Spider-Gwen as my favorite Spider-Woman. There are some really cool things going on with her. You can do really cool things with gender swapping.
Mm-hmm.
It can add a dynamic. It can give girls a role model to look up to that we as boys had.
Like Disney, right? Because they've been doing the whole Disney princess thing for quite a while
Disney
now.
princesses aren't good role models.
No.
They marry at 16 after 3 days of no talking because they're Ariel.
I mean, recently they're trying to do.
I guess.
I mean, other than Frozen, the Let It Go, abandoning.
Yeah.
But
I think the best example for female role models right now is going to be the superhero genre. I think it's taking over in a really good way. And I think it's great to see that, hey, you know what? These characters can be a role model for boys and girls alike. I don't have a problem watching Wonder Woman and thinking, wow, that's super badass.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change anything for me.
Yeah.
It might just be because I was raised with a very open perspective, surrounded by very strong women. But, I mean, my mom's a midwife, for goodness sake. She works with women for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Respect for both genders is sort of just ingrained in my DNA. I think it should be with everyone. That being said,
The good time one, the one I can throw some stuff into.
if you do gender swapping wrong, it becomes a gimmick. It becomes shoved down your throat, and it becomes insulting. Ghostbusters with women didn't work. Did it not work because they were women? No, it didn't work because the fact that they were women was the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually saw this one, so
It's terrible. Now, to be fair, it would have been just as bad with male actors.
Yeah.
Nothing would have saved the movie.
Yeah, that movie. Like I said, it wasn't the women that made it bad. It was just the movie itself.
No, but they didn't help.
Yeah.
And here's why. They took the dynamic of the original Ghostbusters, which were 4 guys and a female secretary,
Mm-hmm.
and now, suddenly, it's 4 girls and a male secretary.
Ooh, would you look at that?
It's like, oh, that seems a little forced.
Yeah. So
A female-led Ghostbusters would be fine if the fact that they were females wasn't the point of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it clearly was. And that's the thing. That's when it gets patronizing. You don't need to make it the whole focus. I did not have an issue with any of the actresses in that movie. I don't have their performances were garbage, but that wasn't their fault. The writing was bad, the directing was bad, the editing was bad. Everything about that movie was garbage.
even the special effects.
No, those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
They were done really practically. I really liked them. But the movie surrounding them was so genuinely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it hard to blame the gender swapping? A little bit, because I don't think the fact that they were females was the issue. But at the same time, I think it does, because the whole movie feels like it existed to force that agenda of female-led characters. And look, female characters in male leads, as I've stated, is not a bad thing. When it's done right, it can make improvements. But the thing is, that they need to be characters. The original Ghostbusters had personality.
Mm-hmm.
The original Ghostbusters had charm. The original Ghostbusters were each individually memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Here, their gimmick is that they're all nerdy women
Yeah.
who can't get dates.
Yeah. And they're would you say they're kind of copies of the originals?
They're copies of one of the original. They were all Vinkman.
Okay, you got me there.
Am I wrong?
Nope.
Yeah, they all had one personality, which is garbage. So they all had it was sort of, once they kind of made a thing that, they can't get boyfriends.
Yeah, kind of, and like,
Which is
they want
stupid. Why do we have to make them like, look at us, LOL, we're dorky, relatable women?
like the secretary.
Make empowering women characters. Female character, and no, I'm not saying make your female characters perfect. That's a terrible idea. Infallible characters are always boring.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, whenever you do a movie with the whole sole purpose of empowering a group, like females, who are horrendously represented in Hollywood. All they have are chick flicks and rom-coms.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve to have cool movies like that. And there's nothing wrong with rom-coms if that's your thing. That's your thing. They deserve to have the same kind of attention that males get. The Wonder Woman did it perfectly. That's how you handle a female-led movie. Is Diana Prince in the movie infallible? No. There were some things made specifically to show she wasn't perfect, even though she's Gal Gadot, who is pretty much a perfect human being because she's one of the funniest people alive, and I adore her. She's amazingly funny and witty. But that aside, you haven't seen the movie? Did you know they made a specific point that her legs jiggle when she runs? Just because, hey, real women aren't perfect. Their legs are going to jiggle when they run.
No, I didn't know that.
They're going to have fat there. To which I say, well, yeah, that's cool. Even the most muscular people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing you can do. I mean, it's a very minor touch.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Ghostbusters movie, all they had was gimmicks of we're girls who can't get dates and we're all Peter Venkman.
Well, remember the secretary, like, in the original was that they named a secretary, so they hired a girl. Yeah, she had that, Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah.
But this one is like, we want a hot guy, and then he's extremely stupid, like, ruins their business.
It's horrible.
So
and that's the thing.
To me, they made me laugh. I did really laugh.
It's not only an insult to the original, but it's an insult to its target demographic, which is clearly to pander to the feminist crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I get it. It's good to show your support in the movement. I am very politically active, and the feminist movement is a part of my life because of the environment I was raised in and who I am as a person. It's incredibly cool to see movies like Wonder Woman nail it, to see things like the Amazing Spider-Man movies before they were rebooted again, where Gwen Stacy was legitimately one of the best parts of the movie.
And then it killed her.
Compared to Mary Jane, which was the worst thing ever. She was the worst character. She sucked.
Was she really?
Name one personality trait she had.
She got mugged that one time.
That's not that. She was, besides existing for Peter Parker to save.
Hold on, I need to think of something.
Besides existing for Peter Parker to save, being sad when Peter Parker didn't notice her problems. Besides being a plot point to further Peter Parker, name one thing about her.
I can't. You know what? I'm trying to think of something here now.
She's one of the.
There has to be more to her than just that, though. Like, this is my childhood Spider-Man. Here's some Toby.
No, Mary Jane's awful.
Okay, fine.
But Gwen Stacy was a good way to handle the character. She was smart, she was witty, she had her own thing. Peter had to do what she wanted half the time, just as much as she had to do what he wanted. Mm-hmm. That was a beautiful dynamic. The movies weren't that great, but hey, they had good elements, and that was one of them. And honestly, I like the direction that Hollywood is going with all of this. Female-led movies, female-led sequels, spin-offs about female characters, gender-swapping roles like Doctor Who is doing. I love it. I think it can be really, really cool when it's done right. And I do think there are some issues with it. Over-sexualizing is bad. Mm-hmm. Harley Quinn annoyed me in Suicide Squad for that reason.
Yeah.
Well, I loved her performance.
Squad was...
It was eh.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie was fantastic. Harley Quinn's a great character. She pulled off the performance beautifully. Mm-hmm. Did they really need the shots of her bending over? Did they really need the shots of her changing? Look, I understand that sexuality is a beautiful thing, and I understand that being proud of your body is a beautiful thing too. But I also understand that having a major female character and then just having her strip, come on. You don't need that. That's the kind of thing I want to avoid. That's why I thought Wonder Woman handled it beautifully. It's why I know Doctor Who's going to handle it well. And Ghostbusters didn't do that, but it did ruin Ghostbusters, so.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that movie was bad enough.
But just out of questioning, what is that one part with the stripping down supposed to be a joke, though?
What, in Suicide Squad?
Yeah. Because everyone just stops all of a sudden.
Oh, 50-50.
I know it's bad.
It was a
that,
joke, but it was also an
it's
excuse
like,
it was an excuse to have Margot Robbie stand there in a bra. Let's be real. That's what it was. Same as the shot where she bends over to pick up a purse. Mm-hmm. Like, come on. It was ridiculous.
Well, after then it was like, yeah.
And we're going to be getting more of this. Silver Sable and Black Cat from the Spider-Man books are going to be getting their own movie called, I think, Black and Silver, or Silver and Black or something, which could be really cool. Neither one of them are very interesting characters, but it could be cool if they do it right. I'm excited. I liked that Gamora got more attention in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, as did Nebula.
That's another one I have to see still.
Oh, it's really good. But the female characters definitely were handled better than in the first one, where Gamora was just like, I am a less interesting Drax who does not make jokes.
Well then.
Am I wrong?
The funny part is, like, most of this, like, movement and stuff we're seeing here is, like, I've what we've been talking about, it's mostly been in the superhero genre.
It's because that's what I'm into.
Can you think of anything else outside of that?
Doctor Who.
Okay.
Mad Max.
Yeah, man, I guess that's something.
A lot. Well, in general, I'm talking about.
It's like one thing here, one thing here. Superheroes is like
in general, I'm talking
one.
about. Well, superheroes are what I'm into. That's why I know.
So,
and that's why I'm most aware of it. But it's a trend that's happening across Hollywood. Wonder Woman being the first major female led blockbuster like this.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic for it. So, in short, to summarize before we end the show, gender swapping, is it good? Well, it depends on your definition of gender swapping. If it's Ghostbusters, where hey, look, I made a DeviantArt where they're all Peter Venkman as a girl. We did good. Look how cool I am. Yeah. And then you make it into a movie and it's garbage and it sort of just... It portrays women in a way that just makes them seem dumb. And it portrays men in a way that makes them seem dumb. And it makes the viewers feel dumb for spending money on the movie. And it's garbage. Then no, don't gender swap just for the sake of it. But if you do it in a way that makes sense... Or, hell, if you do it with effort, and you do it in a way that actually empowers the female character, then go for it. Because I think it's not a gimmick when it's done right. It's just part of the movie. I don't watch Wonder Woman and think, the fact she's a girl is part of the movie. I watch Wonder Woman and think, Wonder Woman is awesome. I'm not going to watch Doctor Who and think, wow, they made the Doctor a girl. I'm going to think, yeah, the Doctor is awesome. That's how you handle it. It shouldn't even occur to you. And yeah, whenever you do these major female-led things, it's going to get criticism from people who just don't understand it. Who just say, why tamper with something that's always been male-led? But those people are wrong. Those people are dumb. There's nothing wrong with it. If anything, it's a really cool thing to see happen. But then again, Ghostbusters happened, so who can really say?
Well, Ghostbusters was the first big thing.
Ghostbusters just did it so badly, and kind of turned a lot of people off to the idea. But, with that being said... That wraps up another episode of GamerGobble. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or on whatever other service you may be listening to us on. We upload every day on YouTube. Well, it's uploaded in bulk ahead of time and then scheduled. But to you guys, we upload a little YouTuber insight. Nobody uploads every day.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
That would be dumb. But, for the sake of common courtesy to say it. Yeah, we upload every day. Most days at least.
Yeah, it's...
If we have a break in content, we can't upload, but for the most part, every day. Check us out.
Yeah. Put a
We're
comment
both
down
really
there.
tired. This is hard.
Yeah, it's almost 2 in the
How is
morning.
the discussion so easy, but giving an outro so impossible when you're so tired?
I guess it's because we have our whole line. Like, yeah, we're gonna talk about this thing. We all
That's
have our
true.
opinions.
We have a small
Then we
list.
get to the ending. It's like, so we're finally finished with those things we knew we wanted to say stuff about. Please give us feedback of some sort. Thank you.
Drop a comment below. Like the video if you liked it. Thumbs down it if you didn't, but don't really do that because it'll hurt our self-esteem. That's all for this week. I'm Ian.
I'm Tim.
And we'll see you guys next week on GamerGobble. Bye-bye.
Bye.